Sometimes on our YouTube channel, I will go to the Am I the A-hole forum on Reddit to answer questions posed by people who want to know if they are the a-hole in a particular situation. Today, we're going to bring that fun tradition into the main show because there's an Am I the A-hole post making the rounds on X at the moment. And most of the commentary, both on X and on the original Reddit thread, are, as usual, wrong, which is why I feel the need to step in. So a woman says that her husband has planned a guys trip with their 13-year-old son, John, and his nephew, Michael, whose mother, the husband's sister, is a single mom. And their 11-year-old daughter, Kelsey, is upset about being excluded. The wife seems to be even more upset about it. Here's some of what she wrote, quote, "My husband has been talking about planning a guys trip this summer with him, Michael, and John. While my husband was discussing with John, I could see Kelsey looking visibly sad because she wasn't included. Later, I told my husband that Kelsey should go too and that there's no reason to exclude her. He said he just wants some guy time with him, his son and nephew, and that men need to, quote, have their time away from women. I took offense to that comment, which led to an argument. I told him that Kelsey needs to go, otherwise I will not approve of the money being taken out of our family vacation budget to exclude some of our family." Now, in a follow-up post, she said that she relented and granted her husband permission to go on the trip, because apparently this is the kind of family where the husband needs permission from his wife to take his son on a trip. But she has given her blessing begrudgingly. And now the daughter, Kelsey, is very upset, has withdrawn from her dad and doesn't want to be around him. The husband offered to take Kelsey on a separate trip, just the two of them, but that's not good enough for Kelsey. The wife, the one who brought this quandary to Reddit looking for guidance, has refused to help the husband repair the situation with the daughter. She says it's his fault for hurting her so badly by excluding her from the guys trip. She writes, quote, "My husband tried to cheer her up by telling her he would plan something really cool, just the two of them, but our daughter told him that she didn't want to do anything. A couple days later, my daughter needed to be picked up early from school for a dentist appointment. My husband said he would pick her up, but she texted me asking, 'Please, Mom, can you pick me up and bring me?' My daughter also has been getting the school bus in the morning instead of catching a ride with my husband and son, which she typically does. Now my husband's been complaining to me about our daughter, saying he's done everything to make it up to her and that I need to step in. I told him she would be hurt by excluding her from the trip, and it's entirely his fault that she's icing him out. He says we should work together and fix this because we're a team, but he's the one who caused this hurt, so it shouldn't be on me to fix it. It's starting to affect our relationship now too." And now she wants to know if she is the a-hole. Now the answer, as I'll explain, is definitely 100% yes. But most of the feedback is telling her what she wants to hear, which is that she's right. And that is, after all, the only reason why people bring their personal problems to the internet. They don't want to know if they're right or wrong. They want to be told they're right so that they can convince themselves that they're right. And the only reason they need to convince themselves is that they recognize deep down that they're wrong. But that's not what the feminists on X are saying. The Reddit post was shared to the platform by a somewhat large feminist account with the caption, quote, "There's no backtracking now. He's already shown his daughter what he thinks of her." And a whole bunch of comments, almost all of them from women, are piling on, saying the dad is sexist and selfish and cruel and has irreparably broken his relationship with his daughter, and so on. This is all totally wrong. And although this is just a dumb post on Reddit, the post, along with the reaction to it, reveals in microcosm why so many marriages fail in our culture. The husband, though I'm sure he has made his share of mistakes in his life and in their marriage, does not appear to have done anything wrong in this situation. Indeed, the wife is presenting a version of events that is as favorable as possible to herself, and yet she is still clearly in the wrong, which tells me that if we got the husband's side of the story, we discover that she's even more wrong than she appears. So the full severity and depth of her wrongness, we don't really know, and we'll probably never know, but we do know that she's wrong for at least two reasons. And these are things that lots of married couples get wrong these days, which is why it's worth talking about. And the first is this, that she's not on her husband's side. She's not presenting a united front to her children. She's doing the opposite. I mean, it's pretty clear that the daughter's anger at her dad is being fueled by her mom. It's normal for an 11-year-old girl to be disappointed that she can't go on a trip. It's not normal for this disappointment to turn into a festering resentment that lasts for days or weeks. That is not normal. Kids at that age get over stuff pretty quickly. And if they aren't getting over it, it's because somebody, the mom in this case, doesn't want them to. She's very clearly using her child as a cudgel to punish her husband. This is one of the hallmarks of an unhealthy marriage. In a healthy marriage, husband and wife will disagree about plenty of things, but the children shouldn't know that they disagree. And they certainly shouldn't be in the middle of it. A wife should never want her husband to look bad in front of the kids, and vice versa for the husband. It is absolutely her job as the wife to defend her husband to the daughter and to do her best to help heal that relationship. That is absolutely your job as the wife. You should want everyone to have a high opinion of your spouse, especially your kids. You should be defending them always and on their side always, even when you actually aren't on their side. So here's how this should work, right? If the wife thinks that the husband should take the daughter on the trip, she should make her case to the husband. But then when the daughter comes and complains to her about it, she should say, well, listen, honey, your father wants to do a boys' trip. I know you're disappointed, but we're not going to let you ruin their time or make this about you. And I'll take you to do something fun while they're on their trip. So she may disagree in private, but to her daughter, she should be on her husband's side. She should have his back, be a team player. That's how it should work. If you want your marriage to last anyway, that's how it should work. And second, it is important for fathers to have time with just their sons without any girls around, okay? And there are some women that get offended by this, but it's like you can be offended. But yes, it is important for men and for boys to have time without any girls around. That's actually important. The husband tried to explain this to the wife, but it apparently offended her feminist sensibilities. And she said that, well, I was offended by that comment. So she just refused to listen. Now, as a woman, she may not fully understand why guys need guy time. She doesn't need to understand it. It's like she's making this about herself. She's saying, well, I was offended, but that you said that. It doesn't matter if you're offended. This is not about you, okay? This is your husband explaining to you something that men need and that boys need. And so your responsibility is just to listen because you don't understand. You're not a guy. And since you're not a guy and you don't understand it, you should be humble and just take your husband's word for it. He's more of an authority on what boys need than you are. Now, instead, she became indignant and declared that because she doesn't personally see why male bonding is so important, they shouldn't get any male bonding time. This is the exact mentality, which is why it annoys me so much, is the exact mentality that has destroyed most opportunities for male bonding in our culture and eradicated nearly every all-male space. Because women like this wife show up and declare, well, I don't see why this should only be a place for men, so therefore it will not be a place for men. Actually, this thing that used to be for men and about men should be about me. That's what I've decided. If you own a handgun, you know the dilemma. You either keep it locked away somewhere secure but tough to access, or you compromise on security for quick access. Neither option is ideal. So that's why I was genuinely impressed when I tried out the StopBox Pro. I've had mine for a while now, and it solves that access versus security problem brilliantly. What makes it different is that it uses this incredibly clever push-button mechanical system. No keys to lose, no batteries to fail, just reliable access when you need it. What really sold me was testing it out at home. The build quality is exceptional, and it should be since they make everything right here in the USA. I can access it quickly in the dark, which gives me real peace of mind, while simultaneously making whoever is breaking and entering learn what regret is very rapidly. Plus, for those of you who travel, it's TSA compliant, so you can actually fly with it properly secured and check baggage, because it turns out TSA isn't a fan of just throwing loose weapons into your bag. Don't try it. For a limited time only, our listeners are getting a crazy deal. Not only do you get 10% off of your entire order when you use code MattWalshShow at StopBoxUSA.com, but they're also giving you buy one, get one free for their StopBox Pro. That's 10% off and a free StopBox Pro when you use code MattWalshShow at StopBoxUSA.com. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with StopBox. Now, I have the good fortune to not be married to a woman like that. So my wife never objects when I take my sons on our annual boys' trip, which is a tradition that we've had going for a few years now. And in fact, she encourages it. And because my wife is understanding, so are my daughters. I have an 11-year-old daughter. This is a very similar, family. Well, just in the fact I have an 11-year-old daughter, I have more kids than that. But so I have an 11-year-old daughter too. And I've never had her. She's not in a snit for days because we're going on a trip. I take my boys somewhere for a few days and we fish and we cook meat over a fire and we stay up late watching Westerns. And then my wife will take the girls to do something girly and there's no family crisis about it. Everyone just has a good time and it's fine. It is crucial for boys to have time with just their dads. It is a critical part of a boy's formation. Okay. And you might be in a situation financially where you can't afford to go on a whole trip and all that. And if you can't, that's fine. But you still, as a father, need to find time with just your sons. It is a critical part, again, of a boy's formation. It's how a boy will grow in his masculinity. The other thing is that guys also relate to each other differently when there are no girls around, right? The energy is different. The conversation is different. Our annual boys trip usually lasts just like 3 or 4 days. And I find that by the second day, my boys will start to open up and they'll talk about things that they wouldn't normally talk about. And it doesn't have to be anything serious. For example, during the last 2 trips, we've discussed at some length what the boys want to be when they grow up. And those are conversations that we can obviously have at the house, and we have had them many times. But on the boys trip, when it's just the guys, right, they tend to talk much longer and they go into more detail. They reveal kind of what their real dreams and aspirations are. And they love their sisters, but when their sisters are around, they feel much more kind of embarrassed displaying that kind of vulnerability. Again, if you are a woman, you may not understand this. Women like my wife do understand it. So hopefully, even as a woman, you would understand this concept that guys need guide time and all that kind of stuff. But maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. There are obviously women who don't understand it. That's fine. You're not a man. So all you can do then is listen to men when they tell you what men need and want, and especially what boys need so they can grow into strong masculine men. This is another big problem in our culture. This is one of the reasons why so many boys are lost, is that women, you have women like this wife and so many feminists who think they know everything, and they think they're the authorities on how to raise boys and what boys need, and they refuse to just listen even one time to men when men tell them, no, this is what boy, I was a boy growing up. I know what a boy needs. So you should defer to men on this topic. I know how, for feminists, I know how offensive and outrageous that is to ever be told that, you know what, this is actually a topic where you don't know as much as men do, so maybe you should just listen to them. I know they never want to hear that. It's very offensive. Well, how could you ever say that there are things I don't? Yeah, well, you know what? You're only proving the point, right? This is exactly why. When women react this way, it's like, and men see this, they're like, well, yeah, this is exactly why we need the guys' time. It's for this reason. And by the way, men will defer to women about womanly things, which also, by the way, is why nobody ever objects to girls having a girls' night or a girls' trip. It would not be controversial for a mom to take her daughter out to the salon and exclude her sons from the outing, which is something that my wife does with the girls sometimes. Even when we're on the boys' trip, she will, but sometimes they went out recently, they went to tea time somewhere. They went out for tea. And it's like, it didn't even need to be a whole family discussion where we prepared the boys for it and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, yeah, it's a girl thing. They're going out to do a girl thing. And that's it. And it's fine. It's fine. It's good. I want the girls to have that time with their mom. And women are allowed to have that kind of time. They're allowed to have their outings, their excursions, their spaces. Now, sure, men in our society now might try to intrude in women's spaces by pretending to be women, and that's bad. Fortunately, we're having a lot of success pushing back against that kind of insanity. Aside from the trans stuff, everybody acknowledges the need for female spaces. It only becomes controversial when men want the same, which is why, as someone pointed out on X, the Boy Scouts no longer exist. It's now Scouting America. The Girl Scouts do still exist. And that tells you everything you need to know about the gender dynamics in our culture. The girls can have their time and their stuff and their events and all that. The boys can't. And that is obviously not fair. And more importantly, it's harmful to boys. They need their time and they need their space too. And if you are the mother of sons, you need to acknowledge that and respect it. And if you don't, then you are today, I'm afraid to say, canceled. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.